when a young black boy shouted, "Don't drink that." No one expected what was about to happen. It was a sunny afternoon at one of the city's most exclusive charity events, held in a luxurious garden overlooking the river. The kind of place where champagne glasses sparkled under the sun and conversations were punctuated by quiet laughter. Men in tailored suits and women in designer dresses moved gracefully between tables adorned with extravagant floral arrangements, while waiters served sophisticated amuse-bouches. But for Malik, a 12-year-old black boy with a thick accent, this world was nothing but a distant reality. Dressed in a faded, oversized t-shirt and carrying a carton of bottled water, he weaved through parked cars, trying to sell as much as he could earn enough for his next meal. He knew he wasn't welcome. The security guards watched him closely, as if he were an intruder in forbidden territory. But hunger and determination were stronger than fear. He had to sell his bottles to ensure he wouldn't go to bed on an empty stomach. As he circled the perimeter of the event, something caught his eye. Across the garden, a woman commanded everyone's attention. It was Evelyn Monroe, a billionaire known for her philanthropy, but also for her reserved and demanding nature. Seated at a table with other influential guests, Evelyn appeared untouchable, wrapped in an aura of power and elegance. She wore a sophisticated black gown, and her jewelry shimmered like stars in the daylight. A glass of white wine rested on the table as conversations flowed around her like a serene river. Malik watched from a distance, unsure why, when a tall, well-dressed man approached Evelyn's table. He carried himself with a composed demeanor, but something about him felt off. Malik saw him lean over, seemingly adjusting the table setting, and for a brief moment, his hand brushed against Evelyn's glass. It was quick, almost imperceptible, but something about the motion sent a chill down Malik's spine. He frowned, trying to piece together what he had just seen. Something wasn't right. Evelyn, distracted by another guest, hadn't noticed a thing. The man swiftly disappeared into the crowd, but Malik's eyes remained locked onto him. His heart pounded. He couldn't explain it, but instinct screamed at him. He had to act. As Evelyn reached for her glass, Malik sprang into action. He dropped his carton of water bottles, letting them scatter across the pavement, and ran straight for the table, shouting, "Don't drink that. Please don't drink it." His voice cut through the air like a blade. The murmur of conversations halted instantly. All eyes turned to him. Evelyn froze, the glass mere inches from her lips. Her expression was a mix of surprise and irritation as she fixed her gaze on the breathless, barefoot boy standing beside her table. "Who let this boy in here?" An indignant guest scoffed. A security guard was already approaching to remove Malik, but he stood firm, eyes wide, voice trembling. "Please, ma'am, I saw him. He put something in your drink. I swear, I saw it. Don't drink it." The silence that followed was almost suffocating. Evelyn studied Malik, weighing his words. The security guard gripped the boy's arm, but he resisted, locking eyes with the billionaire. "I know no one believes me because I'm just a street kid," he said, voice steady despite his fear. "But I couldn't stay silent. I saw what he did." Evelyn, visibly unsettled, set the glass back on the table. "Let the boy go," she ordered, her tone leaving no room for debate. The guard hesitated, then released his grip. Evelyn turned to Malik, arms crossed. "All right, kid. You say you saw something. What did you see?" Malik pointed toward where the man had disappeared. "It was him, the tall guy in the gray suit. He messed with your glass while you weren't looking." The guests exchanged uneasy murmurs, their eyes darting toward the direction Malik indicated. But the man was gone. Evelyn narrowed her gaze, suspicious but not dismissive. Something about the boy's unwavering conviction made her pause. "Find that man," she ordered her security team, "and have this glass tested immediately." The entire atmosphere shifted. The carefree air of the event was replaced by a palpable tension. Malik stood his ground, nervous but determined to prove he wasn't lying. He had done the right thing, even if no one believed him yet. Meanwhile, Evelyn remained silent, staring at the untouched glass as if it were a puzzle she needed to solve. Though her expression was unreadable, for the first time, Malik felt like she was truly seeing him, not as a nuisance, but as someone worth listening to. A few minutes later, a chemist hired by Evelyn's team arrived with a portable testing kit. The room held its breath as he examined the glass under the scrutinizing eyes of every guest. Evelyn sat still, her expression grave, alternating glances between the chemist and Malik. The boy stood firm by the table, gripping his carton of water bottles like a shield. He refused to look away, despite feeling the weight of judgment pressing down on him. Then, the chemist lifted his gaze, his face a mixture of concern and shock. "Ms. Monroe," he hesitated. "There are traces of a toxic substance in this drink. I can't confirm exactly what it is without further analysis, but I can tell you that you should be grateful you didn't drink it." His words detonated like a bomb in the garden. A collective gasp rippled through the guests, and uneasy whispers broke out among them. Evelyn sat motionless for a few seconds before slowly rising to her feet, her lips pressed into a thin line. "Call the police," she commanded her security. "I want a full investigation." As her guard stepped away to carry out the order, Evelyn turned back to Malik. This time, her gaze was different. There was respect in it. "You really saw what happened?" she asked, her voice softer but still firm. Malik nodded vigorously. "Yes, ma'am. I saw him put something in your glass. He thought no one was watching, but I was." Evelyn tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Why did you just walk away? You could have avoided all this trouble." Malik hesitated, gripping the sides of his box. He knew he had only one chance to say something that made sense to her. Because no one else was going to say anything, he finally answered. "And if it was my mother sitting here, I'd want someone to do the same for her." Silence fell over the crowd once more. Evelyn took a deep breath, absorbing the boy's words as the distant sound of police sirens grew louder. By the time the authorities arrived, the event was in controlled chaos. Guests whispered in hushed groups, some avoiding Malik's gaze while others approached, curious about the boy who had just saved a billionaire's life. As the police took over, scanning security footage and collecting statements, Evelyn remained by Malik's side, ensuring he wasn't dismissed or ignored. And for the first time in his life, Malik realized someone was finally listening. The police had finally found the suspect. He had tried to blend in among the guests backstage at the event, but security cameras had spotted him. When the officers handcuffed him, he tried to remain calm, but it was obvious he was panicking. "You have nothing on me. This is a mistake," he shouted as he was escorted out. One of the officers approached Evelyn, maintaining a professional demeanor. "Mrs. Marlowe, we have him. He denies everything, but the footage and the boy's testimony are solid evidence. This is what we'll be working with." Evelyn nodded, but her attention remained on Malik. She knew that without him, the situation could have ended tragically. As the officer walked away, Evelyn turned back to the boy. "Malik, I need you to tell me the truth. Do you do this every day? Do you walk the streets alone selling water to make a living?" He nodded, his eyes shining with a mix of pride and resignation. "I don't really have a choice. My sister is little, she can't work." He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. "This is what we have to do." The sincerity in his voice hit Evelyn in an unexpected way. For years, she had built wealth and influence, constructing an empire with relentless determination. But now, standing before a boy who barely had enough to survive, she felt small in the face of his courage. As the event ended and the guests began leaving, Evelyn called one of her personal assistants. "I want you to investigate everything about this boy," she said, pointing at Malik. "Find out where he lives, who he lives with, and what his needs are." The assistant hesitated for a moment, then quickly nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Malik watched the interaction cautiously. He didn't understand why Evelyn was so interested in him, but he knew something was about to change. "Malik," Evelyn said, turning back to him, "you saved my life today. Without you, I wouldn't be here." and probably no one would have done anything about it. I can't just ignore that. The boy frowned, confused. What do you mean? Evelyn placed a hand on his shoulder, this time with more gentleness. I want to help you and your sister. No one should have to live like this. Today, you saved me. Now, it's my turn to help you. Malik stood there, trying to process her words. He never expected something like this, especially from someone as powerful and distant as Evelyn. I don't know what to say. For the first time that evening, Evelyn smiled, a small, genuine smile. You don't have to say anything right now. Just let me help you. Malik nodded timidly, unaware that this moment marked the beginning of a change he never could have imagined. In the days that followed, Malik's life began to change in ways he never thought possible. True to her word, Evelyn mobilized her team to investigate his situation. She discovered that he and his sister lived in a tiny room inside a temporary shelter, sharing the space with other families in equally harsh conditions. His sister, Amara, was only 6 years old and suffered from severe asthma, worsened by their poor living conditions. Evelyn wasted no time. Within days, she had found a new home for Malik and Amara, a modest but safe and comfortable place where they could finally have a fresh start. She also hired a private doctor to take care of Amara's health and ensure she received the treatment she needed. But Evelyn knew that giving them a home wasn't enough. She wanted to give Malik the chance to build a future. One morning, as Malik was preparing his new school bag, a limousine pulled up in front of their home. Evelyn stepped out, impeccable as always, but with a warmth in her gaze that Malik was starting to recognize. She held a briefcase in one hand and a bag in the other. Malik, she said with a small smile, I have something for you. Malik rushed to the balcony, followed closely by Amara, curiosity on her face. Evelyn handed him the bag. Inside were new clothes, but not just any clothes. It was a uniform, one from one of the best schools in the city. What is this? Malik asked, holding the uniform as if it were made of crystal. This is your next step, Evelyn said, opening a folder. You've been admitted to St. James Academy. It's one of the best schools in the city, with full scholarships for talented students. You'll have everything you need to study, and if you succeed, you can go anywhere you want. Malik remained silent, staring at the uniform and the documents, his mind racing. He had dreamed of opportunities like this, but he never thought they could become real. I don't know if I can do this, he finally whispered. I don't know if I'm good enough. Evelyn knelt beside him, gripping his shoulders firmly. Malik, you've already proven you're stronger and smarter than many adults I know. You saved my life with your courage and quick thinking. If you can do that, you can do anything. Just promise me you'll try. He nodded, still struggling to take it all in. Amara beamed at her brother and hugged him tightly. You can do it, Malik. I know you can. In the months that followed, Malik began his new journey. At first, adapting to school was difficult. He didn't feel like he belonged among the other students, many of whom came from wealthy and influential families. But little by little, he found his place. His determination and intelligence helped him stand out, and soon he gained the respect of his classmates and teachers. Evelyn remained a constant presence in his life, not just as a distant benefactor, but as a mentor. She visited him regularly, helped him with his homework, and encouraged him to dream bigger. For her, Malik was more than just a way to repay a debt for saving her life. He reminded her that anyone, no matter their background, could achieve great things if given the right opportunities. Years later, Malik, now a young graduate full of ambition, stood on stage at a conference on social justice and opportunities for underprivileged youth. He shared his story, from selling water bottles on the streets to the moment a stranger's kindness changed his life. My story reminds me, he told the audience, that every one of us can make a difference. Sometimes, all we need is for someone to believe in us, someone to see us when the world chooses to look away. In the audience, Evelyn watched moved. She never regretted the day she decided to help that courageous boy. And today, Seeing him inspire so many people, she knew she had made the right decision. If the story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Acts of kindness can change lives and create ripples that spread further than we can ever imagine. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories like this. See you next time.